Today we look at a tale of a man who could see, yet was blind to the truth, and a humble donkey who spoke with the voice of God. Balaam was a prophet known for his ability to bless and curse. He had been summoned by Balak, the king of Moab. The Israelites, who had recently left Egypt, were approaching Balak's land. Fearing their strength, Balak sought to hire Balaam to curse them, hoping to weaken their power and gain victory over them in battle. Messengers were sent to Balaam, bringing gifts and pleading with him to come and curse Israel. Though initially refusing, Balaam later received permission from God to go with the men, but only to speak what God commanded. Thus, Balaam saddled his donkey and set out with the Moabite officials, but his journey was not as simple as he had anticipated. Though Balaam thought he had the blessing of God to go, his heart was driven by greed and the promise of wealth. Seeing this, God's anger burned against him. Though Balaam was a prophet, he was not acting out of obedience or humility, but out of a desire for gain. So, God sent an angel to stand in his path as an adversary, a divine roadblock that Balaam, in his spiritual blindness, could not see. The donkey, however, saw the angel. As Balaam rode his donkey along the narrow path between the vineyards, suddenly the donkey veered off the road into a field. Balaam, frustrated and angry, struck the donkey with his staff, urging it back onto the road. Yet the donkey had seen what Balaam had not, a mighty angel of the Lord standing in their way, sword drawn, blocking their path. Unbeknownst to Balaam, his loyal donkey was trying to save his life. After returning to the path, they approached a narrow passage with walls on both sides. Again, the donkey saw the angel, and this time it pressed itself against the wall, crushing Balaam's foot in the process. Furious, Balaam struck the donkey once more, unaware of the divine presence that the animal was responding to. Finally, they came to an even narrower path, where there was no room to turn either right or left. The angel stood directly in front of them, sword raised. Seeing no escape, the donkey lay down beneath Balaam, refusing to move any further. Balaam, now enraged, struck the donkey a third time, venting his frustration at what seemed like the stubbornness of the animal. If you haven't done so as yet, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps us to bring more content to you. It was at this moment that God opened the mouth of the donkey. "What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?" the donkey asked, speaking with human words. In his fury, Balaam did not seem shocked by the fact that his donkey was speaking. Instead, he responded, "You have made a fool of me. If I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now." The donkey, still calm, replied, "Am I not your own donkey, which you have always ridden, to this day? Have I ever been in the habit of doing this to you?" "No," Balaam admitted, his anger beginning to subside. At that moment, God opened Balaam's eyes. He saw what the donkey had seen all along, the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword. Balaam immediately bowed low, falling face down before the angel in fear and reverence. The angel spoke to Balaam, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? I have come here to oppose you because your way is perverse before me. The donkey saw me and turned away these 3 times. If it had not turned away, I would certainly have killed you by now, but I would have spared the donkey." Balaam, now humbled and terrified, replied, "I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to oppose me. Now, if you are displeased, I will go back." But the angel instructed Balaam to continue on his journey, but with a clear directive: he must only speak the words that God put in his mouth. So Balaam continued his journey to meet Balak, but with a transformed heart. The lesson he had learned through the mouth of a humble donkey and the presence of the angel was undeniable: God is sovereign, and Balaam could not manipulate divine power for his own gain. His spiritual blindness had been lifted by an unlikely messenger, a creature often deemed foolish and insignificant. The donkey, typically seen as a symbol of stubbornness, had proven wiser than the prophet. The story of Balaam and his donkey is rich with meaning and insight, offering profound lessons about obedience, humility, and spiritual awareness. One of the most striking aspects of this narrative is the irony of Balaam, a man who was known for his ability to see spiritual truths and communicate with God, being blind to the angel's presence. Meanwhile, the donkey, an animal with no claim to spiritual insight, was able to see the divine messenger. This role reversal highlights how even the most learned or spiritually gifted individuals can become blinded by pride or greed, while those who are humble and unassuming may be more attuned to God's presence. Balaam's anger and frustration with the donkey also serve as a cautionary reminder of how we often react to obstacles in our own lives. When faced with delays, inconveniences, or setbacks, we are quick to lash out, not realizing that these may be divine interventions meant to protect us or redirect us toward a better path. Just as Balaam beat his donkey in ignorance, we too can act out of impatience or anger without seeing the larger picture that God sees. Furthermore, the story reveals God's patience and grace. Despite Balaam's initial disobedience and spiritual blindness, God gave him multiple opportunities to recognize his mistake. Even when Balaam was at his most stubborn, God used an unexpected messenger, a talking donkey, to open his eyes. This demonstrates that God can use any means necessary, even the most unlikely, to get our attention and guide us back to the right path. Finally, the story underscores the importance of speaking only what God commands. Balaam was instructed to bless the Israelites rather than curse them, despite the desires of King Balak. This serves as a reminder that, as believers, we are called to align our words and actions with God's will, even when it is difficult or goes against the expectations of others. In the end, the story of Balaam and his donkey is a testament to God's sovereignty, mercy, and the surprising ways he can deliver his messages. Whether through prophets, angels, or even the voice of a donkey, God's truth will always prevail, and his purposes will be accomplished.